You have lived with it for years, in your kitchen, on your windowsill, maybe in that small pot that nobody waters properly. And not once, not a single time, did anyone tell you what it really is. Today, I'm going to show you why entire civilizations considered it sacred, what it does inside your body when you consume it, and the secret that healers have guarded for centuries, which science has only just begun to confirm. And the last part is going to completely change the way you see it every time you walk into your kitchen. Stay with me, because you won't find this in any recipe book. Look, when most people hear the word basil, they think of pesto, pasta, or a tomato salad. And yes, of course, it is useful for that. But that is like saying the ocean is useful for getting your feet wet. It's true, but it is the least important part. Basil has more than 4,000 years of history. 4,000. And in those 4,000 years, practically every civilization that came into contact with it treated it differently from all other plants. Why? That is exactly what we are going to discover today. Tell me in the comments where you are watching this video from. I want to map every corner of the country where this content is reaching, because there is something very special about knowing that this kind of knowledge is reaching people who may have a basil plant right there, just a few steps away, without knowing what they truly have in front of them. Number 1. The origin. The plant the gods could not ignore. Before talking about what basil does today, you need to understand where it comes from. Not in the geographical sense, but in the sense of why this particular plant became so important to so many people in so many different parts of the world. In ancient India, they did not call it basil. They called it tulsi. And it was not just any plant. It was the sacred plant of Vishnu, one of the most powerful gods in all of Hindu mythology. They did not place it in the kitchen. They placed it on the home altar. They kept it near the sick. They used it in purification rituals. And there was a very specific belief passed down from generation to generation. Where basil grew green and strong, negative spirits could not enter. Now, before you think this is pure superstition, listen to what comes next, because science took that belief, brought it into the laboratory, and found something nobody expected. Basil really does release natural volatile compounds into the air, essential oils. And those oils have real, measurable, proven antibacterial and antiviral properties. Having a living basil plant at home literally purifies the air, not because of magic, but because of chemistry. And it was not only in India. In Greece and Rome, basil was a symbol of love and abundance. Merchants placed it in their stalls because they believed it attracted customers and prosperity. In ancient Egypt, they used it in mummification processes because its properties helped preserve and protect. And here, in Mexico, Colombia, and all across Latin America, grandmothers already knew this without having read any of it. They placed it at the entrance of the house. They used it to cleanse the atmosphere after visits that left something heavy behind. They kept it near children with fever because it helped calm them. Intuition, inherited tradition, yes, but also unnamed science. Knowledge that traveled by word of mouth for generations, long before anyone invented laboratories to explain it. That is how true knowledge works. It does not wait for permission to be real. Number 2. What it does to your body. The part nobody connects. Now comes the part I like most about this video, Because what basil does inside your body is something no commercial, no advertisement, and no package has ever told you. Let's start with something everyone knows, but almost nobody connects with plants. Stress. We live in a time when everyone is tense. The mind is racing, the body is tight. People are not sleeping well, not truly resting, and there are medications for that, many of them. But researchers from the Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine, a serious scientific publication, found something that left more than a few people speechless. Basil has properties comparable to certain medications used for anxiety and depression. This is not an exaggeration. It is not natural marketing. People who took basil extract regularly felt less anxious, less tense, more sociable, in a better mood, and slept better. Why? Because basil contains two compounds called linalool and geraniol, which act directly on the central nervous system. They tell the brain, relax, breathe, everything is okay. Like a hug that enters through the nose. That is why the basil tea your grandmother prepared at night was not just a habit, it was real medicine. She did not know the names of the compounds, but she knew the effect, and she was right. But there is more. Do you know someone with high blood pressure or high cholesterol? Almost certainly, yes. Basil contains eugenol, the same active compound found in cloves. And eugenol is a very powerful natural vasodilator. That means it relaxes the blood vessels, helps lower blood pressure, and reduces bad cholesterol, the kind that builds up in the arteries, like sediment in a pipe that has not been cleaned in years. And its antioxidants work like a silent army, protecting the walls of the heart and reducing the inflammation that slowly wears it down over time. Do you know what I find most impressive about all this? This plant has been in our kitchens for centuries, and we used it only to give flavor to pasta, when all along it was also ready to protect our heart. But listen, if what you are seeing is making you look at plants differently, that is good, because that is exactly what this is about. Truly understanding them, not just keeping them as decoration. And if you are enjoying this kind of content, subscribe to the channel now and join this community of people who love plants and want to understand them, observe them, and learn from them. Because this is not just one random video. Every week, we go deeper into the world of plants, and you are going to discover incredible things, secrets, and mysteries that almost nobody has told you in the upcoming videos. And if you stay outside, you will simply miss everything that comes next. So stay inside. If you are watching this from your television, you already know what to do. Use the remote control, press the up button, and select the red button to subscribe. And now, let's continue, because what I'm about to tell you will completely change your perspective on what you have just seen. Number 3. Sugar, the brain, and what science is only beginning to discover. There are two things I want to tell you here that very few people connect with basil. The first is diabetes. It is one of the diseases that most affects our Latin American population. And what researchers found in clinical studies with real people, not animals, but people with non-insulin-dependent diabetes, was this. Their fasting blood sugar levels went down with regular basil consumption, and their blood sugar also dropped after meals. Why? Because basil fiber acts as a natural regulator. It prevents sugar from rising suddenly when you eat. It helps insulin work better. It slows down those spikes that, over time, silently destroy the pancreas without anyone noticing. It does not replace any medical treatment. That must be made clear. But it is a tool that most people do not even suspect they have in their kitchen. And the second thing is about the brain. Basil contains almost all the B group vitamins, B1, B2, B3, B5. These are literally fuel for the nervous system. Without them, neurons do not communicate properly, memory begins to fail, concentration is lost, and along with its anti-inflammatory properties at the brain level, researchers today are studying whether basil may help slow cognitive decline, even in people with Alzheimer's. There is no definitive conclusion yet. Research is still ongoing. But the fact that scientists are looking at this plant so seriously already says a lot about what one small aromatic leaf can do. And there is something else: migraines. There are people who suffer from them every week, who cannot work, who lock themselves in a dark room, who lose entire days of their lives waiting for the pain to pass. Basil essential oils, menthol and linalool in particular, have relaxing and slightly anesthetic properties on the nervous system. It has been documented that regular consumption may help space out attacks and reduce their intensity when they appear. It is not a cure, but if it can remove even one attack a month, isn't it worth trying? Number 4. The secret nobody had told you. And here we reach the center of everything. There is a dimension of basil that does not appear in cookbooks, recipe videos, or supermarket packaging, but it appears in practically every culture in the world and has done so for centuries. And when something appears in all cultures, on all continents, across all centuries, it deserves our attention. In Mexico, Colombia, and Peru, healers and traditional medicine practitioners use basil in cleansings, not as decoration, but as a central tool. They believe its essential oils have the ability to purify not only the physical air of a space, but also the burden a person carries without even knowing they are carrying it. And here comes something I find fascinating. What they call cleansing energy, science calls eliminating bacteria, viruses, and fungi from the environment. Different words to describe the same reality. Most likely, grandmothers and healers did not have microscopes, but they had centuries of careful observation. And what they observed turned out to be true. There is also a practice used a lot in Europe and Asia that almost nobody knows about here: adding crushed basil leaves to warm bath water. Not as a ritual, but because the essential oils released by the steam from the hot water enter through the skin and through breathing at the same time, producing a real, measurable relaxing effect that can last for hours. 20 minutes, say those who practice it. That is enough to notice the difference. Did your grandmother ever talk to you about herbal baths when you were sick or very tired? It was not a fairy tale. It was chemistry that she applied without needing to know the names of the compounds. And before antibiotics existed, when someone had an infected wound, a sore in the mouth, or a sore throat that would not go away, basil was one of the first things used, as a poultice on the skin, as a mouth rinse, or as an infusion to reduce fever. And when modern medicine arrived with its laboratories and microscopes, it found exactly what those traditions already knew: eugenol, linalool, rosmarinic acid, apigenin. Science gave complicated names to what grandmothers already knew by heart. So what is the real secret? This: basil is not a kitchen herb with additional medicinal properties. It is an ancestral medicinal plant that one day someone decided to also put in the kitchen. And that small change in perspective changes everything. There are people who pay fortunes for imported supplements, for capsules that promise everything, for teas from distant countries. And this humble aromatic plant, which grows with little water and a lot of care, has been doing the same thing for 4,000 years. No packaging, no commercials, no high price. Just there, waiting for someone to look at it differently. That said, there is something you need to know. If you are pregnant, use it only in normal cooking amounts. If you take blood thinners, talk to your doctor first, because basil contains significant amounts of vitamin K and may interact with them. None of this means it is dangerous. It means it is powerful. And what is powerful deserves respect. a plant that can calm anxiety, protect the heart, and help regulate blood sugar, deserves more than ending up dry and forgotten at the back of a drawer. Next week, I am going to reveal something about another plant that almost everyone has at home, but that most people are combining with other things without knowing that this completely cancels out all its effects. And one of those combinations, which people make every single day, might be something you are doing right now. If you like this kind of content about plants with stories that go far beyond the kitchen, secrets passed down through generations, and uses that almost nobody explains, then this channel is exactly about that. See you there.